Thank you, Carl. Thank you, Tom. Thank you to the Cascade team for having me. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here, just to be with all of you, meeting some friends, meeting some people that have seen me on the internet for good things. And I'm just really excited to be here to chat and to share with y'all. And so my talk today is why alignment? So at SME Strategy, our process is called Aligned Strategy Development, and it's really the benefit of and the opportunity of strategic planning. So we're going to, it's going to make the noise again. Cool, there we go. Okay, third time's a charm. So a little bit about me, from the Pacific Northwest, from Vancouver, Canada, managing partner at SME Strategy, the author of Alignment, Getting Your People, Strategy, and Culture on the Same Page. Amazon tells me the books will be here tomorrow, which is helpful. Facilitate strategic planning all over the world, so Canada, US, I just came back from Fiji. And my one big goal in life is to go to all 30 major league ballparks. And I've been to 10 and a half because Carl and I went to the one in Florida Marlins, but we weren't watching baseball, so that doesn't count. So I want to share with you, I don't know if you've ever seen this graphic before. So the story goes, a lion tamer. The way the lion tamer works, as you can see in the picture there, he has his whip in the one hand and his chair in the other. And a lion, the way it works to tame the lion is because the lion tries to focus on all 4 points of the chair at the same time. And in the process, gets paralyzed by not knowing which one to focus on. So I see some of you nodding your heads. You might say, yeah, I know what that's like when you have too many things. You get paralyzed into inactivity. And some of the speakers already touched on that. So my background, as Carl mentioned, was as an entrepreneur. I ran a lot of different businesses. And I worked on nonprofit boards. And I really wanted to help entrepreneurs. And what I found is that entrepreneurs, businesses, organizations try to focus on so many things at once. And the process are not as effective as they could be. And my why, my purpose, is because I want to help organizations have impact in the world. So by doing my job, I can impact the world positively. So this might look like you or your team. So the kids call a meme. Where organizations are taking on a bunch of random tasks with no specific goals or very hard to interpret goals. And they say, is this a strategic plan? You can butterfly meme, you can look it up. Anyway, but I find so many organizations have these goals that are not actual goals. They're wishes. They're not clear, and you never know actually when they're going to be accomplished. So what I'm here to do is try to help you get your team aligned on how to make that a successful plan. So I don't know where you are at in the strategic planning process. I know there's consultants, I know there's executives, I know there's nonprofits. No matter where you are in the process, there's something here for you. So you might be a first timer. You might be asking your organization, do we even need strategic planning? Like, I'm looking at this. It might be something interesting. It might be a thing that you do once in a while. If I ever ask you, hey, do you have a strategic plan? You say, yeah, we did that a couple of years ago. I could probably find it. Any of those that don't want to admit it in the room, maybe? Now, you might be in that middle area, that sweet spot where we have a plan. Here's our strategic plan. Here's our vision. Here's where we're going. And again, no matter where you're at in this process, there's something here for you. You might be at the stage of alignment where, people have action plans and you have culture transformation starting to go on. Or you might be a hybrid user. You might be like right in there with Cascade. You might be in the performance management phase where you have your monthly, quarterly action plans. You got your KPIs tracked and you're moving forward. So no matter where you're at in the strategic planning stage, there's something for you in this presentation. So we're going to test this again. Fantastic. So when do strategic planning? So you might have shown up to this conference and one of these might be you. You might be dealing with competitors and saying, we need to do strategic planning. You might be merging a company together and you say, I need a strategic plan because here's where we're at. You might be managing significant change. I have a lot of companies coming to me and saying, oh, there's an Amazon effect. I need to be aware of what's going on. So you might be managing significant change. You might just need a document because your funding depends on it. Anybody here? We need a strategic plan document. That's all. We don't care what's in it. We just need the plan, okay? We're good. Or you might be doing it because all the cool kids are doing it. No? Okay. Well, just probably the top ones. But those are the wins. But I want you to get connected as to the why. So this is what's in it for you. Before I forget, there will be a quiz, so I encourage you to take notes. Okay, so if you have pen and paper, and you have the opportunity to ask questions later. So be prepared for that. Okay, so what's in it for you for strategic planning? So if this doesn't get you, nothing will. You might be one of those people who say, I want more money. Anybody here want more money for their organization? They're money driven? Okay, perfect. Or money, you know what I mean. Money works the world go round. You might want more time. You know, anybody have free time right now? Show hands. There's no hands up, by the way, people on the, oh, you want more time, okay. You might want more clarity in your plan. You might want to know where you're going. You might want more employee satisfaction. You want your people to be happy. Or you want more of a feeling of progress. So all of those things are available to you on the other side of a strategic plan. This is the opportunity. This is what's in it for you. So, for the time people, here's an opportunity for you to scale your efforts and focus on what's important. So what does that mean? Actually, it was mentioned earlier, I don't have time to do a strategic planning offsite. I don't have time, so we facilitate 2-day offsites in our work here, and I want you to consider that strategy development doesn't take time. It gives you time, okay? So it's about reallocating your time to focus your efforts. You know, as our speakers alluded to, there's a lot of different paths you can take. You want to focus on the one that's going to get you to where you want to go. When strategy is done right, it gives you more time for leading and coaching and less time firefighting. Who spends a lot of time as a strategy leader firefighting? Anybody in this room? You know what I mean, firefighting, you're dealing with stuff that people come, your open door policy has become a lot of ranting. Any of those? Yeah, okay, excellent. You're in the right place. And it's an opportunity for you to see if you have the right structure for you to get to where you want to go. So the image I use there is a soccer team. Do you have the right formation of people structure to accomplish your vision, your goal? More money. More money. Increased profitability and less wasted effort. So this is the why you want to do strategic planning. So you're going to save money when hiring and by retaining employees. So as Tom mentioned earlier, you know, he hasn't had any turnover. Because a culture, an aligned organization, people want to stay there. And for those of you that hire, spend money on people, it's expensive to hire people. So you're going to save money that way. You're going to avoid waste by avoiding things that don't contribute to where you want to go. When done well, and I'm going to get into the how of strategy after, is about when you have that clear goal, and when you have your clear values, you're either doing it or you're not. You're either going to where you want to go or you're not. And when you get alignment from an organizational perspective, everybody's moving towards the same place like a laser instead of a broad shotgun approach. So, and you'll get higher ROI from your people. You'll get a greater outcome from the people that you have in your team. So clarity and buy-in. Employees are empowered. I love people. Like I'm a people person. I love people. And this is one of the things, if you can create an aligned strategy and an aligned organization, your employees will be empowered. Now, why is this important? Okay, everybody have your pen and paper? Okay, pen and paper. Now this is, we're going to work this in 2 ways. Pass, no pass. Okay, pass, no pass. So Harvard did a study, 2006, looked at 31 companies, 2,600 employees, and looked at the characteristics of strong strategy execution. Okay, and I know you can't read and listen to me at the same time. I'm aware of that. So I'm going to let you look at this. I'm going to read it, and we're going to take a quiz. So the number one organizational trait for strong strategy execution is everyone has a good idea of the decisions and actions for which he or she is responsible. Okay? Number two is important information about the competitive environment gets to headquarters quickly. Number three, once made decisions are rarely second guessed. And number four, information flows freely across organizational boundaries. So that's the no silos thing. And number five, field and line employees usually have the information they need to understand the bottom line impact of their day-to-day choices. So if you look on the right-hand side, it falls into a couple different categories. Blue is decision rights, yellow is information, green is motivators, which is number 9, and red, not shown, is structure. The structure is actually the least important of these. So we're going to go one by one, okay? I want you to look and say, for you as an organizational leader, for you as somebody strategy, pass or no pass, are you doing this, okay? So we're going to start with number 1. Everyone has a good idea of the decisions and actions for which he or she is responsible. Do you do that in your organization? Right? Pass or no pass for yourself. Take 5 seconds. Number 2, as an organization, does information about the competitive environment get to headquarters quickly? Pass or no pass? And this is an opportunity to be really, critical, honest with yourself and your organization. Say, hey, where are the opportunities to improve? Number 3, once made, decisions are rarely second-guessed. Pass, no pass. If you want a good trick to help people make decisions, don't give them too many options. It's like when you're on a plane, chicken or fish. Pass, no pass. Okay. Number 4, information flows freely across organizational boundaries. Pass, no pass. And number 5, field and line employees usually have the information they need to understand the bottom line impact of their day-to-day choices. Bill was talking, the janitor knowing how his work, their work, contributes to the larger vision. Pass or no pass? So I'm not so much interested in what your scores were. However, I invite you to be interested in what your scores are. And notice that the top 2 are about decision rights and information. Doesn't have anything to do fundamentally with what is your vision, culture, values. It's just how are you getting your people aligned and bought into your strategy. Okay. More employee satisfaction. Do you have a system in place to gather information and to optimize your team? Now, why is this important? People want to win. Okay? So, you may have heard this. You may have heard that only 34% of employees are engaged in their work. Hands up if you've heard this statistic. Okay, so this is not exactly for you math people and data people. This is not necessarily accurate. But if you look to the left and you look to the right and you considered yourself that only one of you has engaged employees. Now, when we look at engaged, we say engaged means they're interested, they know what's happening. On the bottom line, you see at the bottom is actively disengaged. Those are those people that make life challenging for you. But consider that you have 2/3 of your workforce that are disengaged in their work. And that costs money. It's a big pain in the butt. Now, why is that? And why do I say people want to win? Is it often when people are not engaged in their work, it's because they don't have a clear purpose. They don't know where they're going. They don't know why they show up to work. They don't know how they contribute. They don't have a scoreboard. So a clear strategic plan, an aligned strategic plan, lets people know how to contribute and how their work makes a difference. A well-aligned organization maximizes individual strengths, so you have the right people in the right roles, and you've taken the time to figure out who that is. And a question to you, I want you to pose to yourself, I want you to pose to your senior leaders. And actually, I'm going to ask you. Would you play a game with no scoreboard, no rules, and you didn't know how to win? Hands up for those people. What would that be like? If you were playing a game with no scoreboard, no rules, and you didn't know if you were winning or not. It'd be frustrating, wouldn't it? You'd be a little resigned, wouldn't you? You probably wouldn't be very excited to play the game day in and day out for 40 years. And so many organizations are structured like that. People show up and say, yeah, okay, do this job, and say, and then what? So really look and say, hey, what is the scoreboard? Now here's what's interesting. So I like sports. I use a lot of analogies. I try to make strategy easy to understand. So if we look at football, we have American football. Offense, defense, special teams. Everybody has a different role. Everybody has different strengths, but they're playing for the same scoreboard. So how do you get people aligned and bought in to play that same game, to all be working towards the same common objective? Okay, so one of the last benefits is an increased feeling of progress. I won't get into the losing weight, when you're starting to work on a workout plan. Okay, I guess I'm going to get into it. When you get onto a workout plan and you start working out for a while and then you're like, ooh, a new muscle. The feeling of progress keeps you going. So I want you to consider, I don't know where you're at. You're probably in that advanced range because you're at a Cascade user conference. But I want you to consider that your company or your organization is one of these two buildings. Now the building on the left has 9 floors on it or more, okay? Well, let's say there's 9. Now, if we looked at that from a strategic priority standpoint, imagine if you had 9 strategic priorities. Again, I'm not going to ask you who has 9 strategic priorities because you don't want to put your hands up. But if you did have 9 strategic priorities, it would mean that at a maximum, you'd be able to put 11.1% of your time, money, and energy into each of those strategic priorities. Everybody with me on the math? Give me a nod or a yep. Okay. So it's like you're spreading your resources like peanut butter, and instead of making significant progress, you're making little steps in a lot of things. And it doesn't actually feel like you're moving forward in your plan, which gets frustration, you get resignation, and you don't want to move forward. So when we look at creating strategies, we look at, making it simple. We look at, hey, what are the top 3 priority areas that we need to focus on in the short term so that we can accomplish things in the future? Now again, if you're communicating your plan and you had 9 strategic priorities and you're saying, okay team, here's where we're going, here's our vision, here's our mission, and here's what we're going to focus on. We're going to focus on this, we're going to focus on communication, marketing, customer success, we're going to focus on this, we're going to focus on this, we're going to focus on this too, we're going to focus on this, and we're going to focus on that. And then you're that lion faced in front of the chair trying to figure out what you're supposed to be doing today. And when we look at the smaller building, the 3-floor building, it's like when you watch sports and there's the keys to the game. Well, how are we going to win? We're going to do this, we're going to do this, and we're going to do this. And it's clear and simple enough that everybody in the organization can get aligned around it. And they know how they can contribute. So when we create a strategic plan at SME Strategy, we really look at something simple like this. The vision, and we use the VMOST framework, which is not the right framework, it is a right framework. Vision, what is that successful future? Where are we going? What does winning look like? And if you have a question about it, I love talking about viv and vision, not a vision statement, but like a real vision. 2, mission, purpose. What are we doing? What are we up to? And 3, what are our top 3 strategic priorities? Do a few things well, instead of a lot of things poorly. One of my favorite quotes, might not be socially appropriate, but Ron Swanson. Anybody know Ron Swanson? He's a famous thinker, okay? He says, don't half-ass 2 things, whole-ass 1 thing. So focus on a few things, do them well, move forward, and then the strategies and tactics go within that, the Cascade stuff. Okay, so when we look at strategic planning, we look at 3 levels of alignment. This is the stuff you can take home with you, okay? Number 1 is alignment at the leadership team level. Is everybody on your leadership team going towards the same place? When I say, hey, where are we going? I say, hey, we're going to Mexico. I say, okay, Mexico could mean a lot of different things. It could be North Mexico, it could be South Mexico, could be all-inclusive, could be backpacking. We could be flying, walking, carpool, hitchhiking. Fundamentally, it's all Mexico. So it's important to be clear that we all have the same vision. Number 2 is alignment with the vision and the strategy. Are you doing the things that are going to get you to where you're going? And very simply, you're either doing it or you're not. You're either going where we're going or you're not. And this is great because if somebody on your team isn't going to where you're going, you get them off the bus. We'll save that for later. Now, number 3 is alignment with the entire organization. How do you get everybody top down, bottom up, bought into your strategy and clear on where you're going. Alignment at the leadership team level, alignment with the vision and the strategy, and alignment with the entire organization, getting everybody bought in. That's the 3 levels of alignment. That's why you want to do it. It's all about alignment. Your entire organization is built on alignment. And if you miss a piece of it, the whole thing falls apart. Now, you might not consider that to be true, but I want you to look at saying, if you don't have alignment, you're causing friction. And the opportunity is to keep strategy flowing. So when you show up to work, everybody's moving and motivated, interested and excited, and they love their jobs, and they tell their friends about it. You make money, you have time, and your job as a CEO is fun. So how do you get alignment? How do you actually do this? So you want to communicate clearly and simply. As Tom alluded to, values alignment between Cascade and SME strategy is we believe in transparency. We believe in openness, and we believe in letting people know how they can be successful. Number 2 is getting buy-in, so bringing people into the strategic planning process. You have to pull them into it. Does anybody here like being told what to do? No, right? So if you were a senior leader and you say, hey, go do this, they're maybe less likely in saying, hey, how do you see you can contribute to this plan? And then it's their idea instead of yours. And they're more likely to execute it because they're the ones who said, oh, we should do this. Great, you're going to do that. Fantastic. Like, oh, okay, I guess I'm going to do that. Match goals and motivation. So when we look at the vision for the organization, an individual is going to have a vision within that. So you want to get alignment not only with the organization, but the individual within the organization. And number 4 is the capability to execute. Are they given the tools they need to succeed? Do they have enough time, money, resource, energy? Hey, we want to fly you to the moon. Here's $100. Go ahead. All of those things are going to help people get bought in, and then what's great about it. So if you look at you as a senior leader, executive, nonprofit, wherever you're at, and you have your leadership team, and let's say there's 12 of you, you know what I mean, the people around that table, what do you think is going to be more effective in terms of moving the strategy forward and accomplishing your vision? 12 people around a boardroom table coming up with a plan and moving it all forward? Or your 50, 100, 200, 1,000 people every day making small contributions moving this thing forward? Give it away. Let them contribute, and they'll get excited and they'll want to move the company forward. Nonprofit, for-profit, use company, organization interchangeably. Okay, so here's our 5-step, super easy layman's process for creating a strategic plan. Number 1, where are we now? Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats, pestle analysis, current state. The reason we keep it simple is because not everybody in your organization is an MBA. I have one of my clients who runs a $15 million company, and he's like, what's a KPI? It's just like, great, fine, let's keep it simple. Where are we at? Where are we going? What's that successful vision? What if success was a place, how would we know if we got there? Number 3, what's going to get in our way? That's our risks, roadblocks, anything we need to be aware of. And we do that ahead of time so we don't get sidetracked by the risks when they actually happen in life. Number 4, what do we need to do to get us to where we want to go? So those are the strategic priorities, those are the action items, those are the tactics, those are the goals. And number 5, where Cascade comes in, is how are we doing? So doing that entire cycle over again, saying, hey, how's our progress? Are we hitting our goals? Do we need to readjust? One of my favorite things I love doing in strategy sessions is we take, so you can imagine you're in a boardroom, okay, and you're near the end of the strategy offsite, and then you have your strategic priorities up on your big 3M flip charts. Anybody know what I'm talking about? And we have the strategic priorities, and maybe we have the action items that are going to move them forward. And then I ask everybody, I say, how much is it worth to you to accomplish this? And they might say, oh yeah, it's going to bring $5 million, $10 million, $20 million to the bottom line if we accomplish this successfully. And I say, great. My question to you is, would you bet $5 million that you have enough action in terms of quality and quantity to make that successful? And they're like, I'm like, well, would you bet? $5 million, would you bet? And if they say no, they say, great, you got to go back to the well and make sure you got enough action. Quality and quantity. And then the execute part. So how are we doing? Where are we now? Where are we going? What's going to get in our way? What do we need to do to get us to where we want to go? And how are we doing? So you're going to have opportunity to ask some questions after this. So if you have any questions, you should start preparing for them. But what I want to say in closing is the opportunity for you is really to be one of those transformational leaders. As I mentioned before, like as a consultant, I know what the impact of this can be. I know what it looks like when you create a strategic plan that has people bought into it. And when you create a strategic plan, when you create that alignment with your team, it doesn't impact you. When you really consider, it doesn't impact you. It impacts, obviously, your organization, but your employees, their families, their communities, and every single person that interacts with them, as well as everybody that you serve. So if you're in a small town, if you're in a big city, if you work for government, if you work for a private company, consider that when you go into your next strategic planning offsite, you've got 1 million people at stake. You've got like the happiness of every single person in your life at stake, and you can create that in your strategic plan. So why alignment? Is because you can change the world through strategic planning. And it's pretty awesome. Thank you.